All righty. All righty. You started talking
Okay,
already,
yeah.
so let's
We were
see.
talking
Where do we
about
want to start?
this information. I said I write down some of these things, and here's what I wrote lately. Each one of us is God's infinite self.
Yes.
Now, we've always said He was the infinite identity,
Mm-hmm.
but we are also the infinite identity. When
Yes.
Jesus said He was the door, that means that if we are in full awareness of our infinite self, we can tell the universe and everything else that we are also the same door,
Yes.
the same door, the same connection. And when this thing is real in the sense of you experiencing it, you will begin to notice how much of God, uh, how much how much space has been allotted in your life to recognize that you and God, and of course, contrast is you and, are more amplified, and you become more relaxed in seeing, being, and awareness in experience. Now, just because you can't experience this does not mean that you're not there. Because I hear a lot of you saying, "Show me how to get there." There is
Or how to stay
how to
there.
stay there.
Mm-hmm.
The staying ability, you have to get this through to your individualized, separated identity. You have to understand the staying there is God's responsibility, not yours. Wow, I heard that. The staying in this manifested state is not your job.
Well, when we say I want to stay there, what we're actually saying is not so much we want to stay in that pure essence or that we are, because it's not a state. But what we're saying, we want to experience an altered state, and I think that's where the misconception has come in. We think that most of us have had this belief that when we wake up, we're supposed to feel different. And we've said this over and over and over and
I
over,
like what you
but
said.
but there is no feeling different because it is what you are.
When you say when we wake up,
Mm-hmm.
sit down and take the word we, it's that little two letters, we, W-E,
Mm-hmm.
and look at it and meditate on the fact that the we that seems like it has to meditate on God, or the we that is already there.
Yeah.
Distinguish between those, because you're going to find out that, here it is, you're going to find out that there is not anything for your false self to do.
Well, and this may be taking them a little
Mhm.
too far, taking them a step too far, because I know all of you guys are not at the place of the dissolving of that is the personal self.
Mhm.
Uh, Many of us still feel very personal and think very personal. So to when we say we wake up, there really is no we to wake
Okay,
up.
okay. Yeah, that's what I'm
Uh,
trying to say.
all that is God, which is the essence of life. And so the essence of life is what you are. You may, even if you're washing dishes, if you're cutting your toenails, if you're brushing your teeth, if you're having an argument with somebody, if you just had a car wreck, if you went for a walk, if you stomped your toe, if you just walked in the door, you are still that essence of life. And everything you're doing is essence of life.
Mm-hmm.
There
Essence. I
is
like that.
there is no me here to do it. There is just life living, just life living. And That's hard for the mind to grasp.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I use the analogy of the ocean and the wave comes up out of the ocean, but it's still the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
It's still the ocean. It has very distinct properties. It has
Mm-hmm.
shape. It has noise. It has color. It has all of those distinctive differences, but it is still the ocean. It is
Mm-hmm.
just an expression of it, of the ocean coming up out of it. And if you could see yourself as a wave, as coming up out of God, as an expression, God, it's God expressing itself as a wave. It's God expressing itself as a human. And so there's not a lot of there's no changes really needing
Mm-hmm.
to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the things that we think need to change
Mm-hmm.
would automatically dissolve once that realization hits us. So, I understand exactly what you're saying.
I've just found something here that I can say to you now that 50 years or so more ago, I had a chance to experience the appearance of Jesus, my wife and I, and I experienced what it was like to see and feel the fine linen garment or the robe that he wore.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked right here in Mark
We were given so many clues.
15. Here's another clue.
We were given so many clues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a chance to see his robe, and it was perfect. It was made out of his spirit body.
Mm-hmm.
I just found here in Mark it said, and they bought fine linen,
Mm-hmm.
the 46th verse, and took him down and wrapped him in the linen, and laid him in a sepulchre which was hewed out of a rock, and rolled a stone under the door of the sepulchre. And Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, Josey,
Oh yeah.
Joseph, beheld where he was laid.
Yeah.
That fine linen is what we saw.
Yes.
That was a piece of it cut out and shown in a magnification of our vision to see exactly what Jesus' robe was made out of and how it was put together by spirit.
Yes, and I remember Keely mentioned that we're all woven together as a tapestry of God. And I remember what she said, which was beautiful. Good morning, Brother Kessler. I'm glad to see you here on with us.
Yeah,
and
good to see you, man.
I'm glad you're doing well.
Uh,
Buzz says,
mhm.
I feel different. I'm happier and don't suffer as much. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Buzz.
Buzz, I am absolutely grateful for you, the gratitude toward you and back to me about what you just said. I want you to come to the awareness that if there was no feeling that was different, there was no happiness that was anywhere, and that if there is a suffering, I bring you to the place of fullness of consciousness of maturity, that when you feel this, it's friends benefit, but if you don't,
It hasn't changed.
it hadn't changed. It if you don't feel this, you're still different in a non-egotistical way. You are still happier in a non-egotistical way, and you do not have to suffer. Or if there is suffering, you are still there.
And the thing is, when we feel negative feelings, I'll say it like that, or bad, we feel bad. Uh, the mind begins to tell us a bunch of lies, that something's wrong, that something bad is going to happen, or something's wrong with you, or it starts to predict and bring up all of these different thoughts, and that's where the suffering comes from.
Yeah, we are the good mornings, the good afternoons, good evenings, and the good nights of God. We are all that, everything that could be said. When you collapse, when there is a collapse, if you can't do it, it's being done for you.
and it's being done by the life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has been designed for as clues to bring you
Mm-hmm.
to that place.
So
Yes.
he gave us a clue of how when the distance is collapsing distance between God and us,
Mm-hmm.
we will begin to see
Mm-hmm.
and be aware of the fact that good days and bad days may appear to the mind, but it does not affect the sacred
Yes.
script or the contracts that we are in essence. Let's say it like this. Let's say it like this.
Okay.
When it was time for you to be anything, you were in God's science lab. The definition of science is how things work, put it together.
Mm-hmm.
It was built into all of us, God's workings.
Mm-hmm.
So when you find those that are seeking it or looking for it or trying to get more of it, discernment automatically comes to the forefront and reveals itself consciously by an opposite that they are struggling with something they don't understand that's already there. Nothing has to happen. Not anything has to happen,
Yeah.
but for any of this to take place, because here I'm gonna put it in the word like this: we are God's taking place, taking place. We are the place where God take, and long distance running. We are a long distance runner, and at the end of this race, we still are not tired of being our true self. Gosh.
Mm-hmm. Are you dry this morning?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay.
We are God's, we are the us and the them and the we's of God. We are we are God's me. I am God's me. You're God's me, and I'm your me, and you're my me.
The truth is, God can only be absent in your imagination,
Oh, that's a good one.
because there is no way for the being that is all and is everywhere and is in every substance. And no, not in, is every substance. There is no possible way that God could be absent. So
That's right.
the belief that God is absent has to take place through your imagination. You must be imagining that you're separate.
Here's a statement in the book: says, "I was sick, you didn't visit me. I was in prison, you didn't come and see me. I was hungry, you didn't feed me."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "If you've done it unto the least of them, you've done it unto me." Now listen to this. Listen to this. If you're sick, he says he's you. If you're weak, he says he's you. If your body's in pain, he says he is you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the hospital, he says it's you.
Yes.
If they are doing surgery on your body, he says it's you.
Yes.
It's impossible to get past the beingness that Christ fixed. He fixed this. The universe is so fixed on Jesus that if you want to see and experience the full benefit, you must transcend separation. And you must see that any opposite is an amplification of the other side of who you are. Dark sides reveal more of who you are as the observer of all things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And see, the thing is, when we say that that is always God, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what's going on, the mind says this, and this is where we have trouble. It says, well, if God is here and everything that I am is what God is, then where's my healing? Where's my money? Where's my mate?
Mm-hmm.
Where's my good feelings, as Bud said, my good feelings, my happiness? Where's my where's uh my substance, the things
Mm-hmm.
that take care of me?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't my needs met?
Mm-hmm.
because our concept of God is only about power. When we fail to realize that when a person goes through, say what Brother Kessler just went through, what Robert just went through, he had his leg amputated. Brother Kessler was in a major accident and almost lost his life. It takes determination and strength to continue to go through what their physical bodies are dealing with. That strength and determination is God. When you don't have the money and you're anxious about something getting taken or cut off, the ability to pull yourself together and find the resources, or the ability to sit in a seat and bring yourself to peace, that's God.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about God, we're not talking about exploits that blow you away. We're talking about, in a very normal, natural way, the things that you're able to go through and endure, the things that you're able to transcend, the things that you're able to overcome. That power is God.
That's right. When Galatians 2:20 was put on paper, it was really saying we were crucified with Christ, nevertheless we live. He lived. Now listen to this. Hold on to this. Jesus changed forms to the degree that he was our form and we were his form on the cross. Let me show you something in the scripture, 16th chapter, Mark. After that, he appeared, Jesus, at his resurrection. If Jesus appeared 2021 years ago, you were inside of him, and now he's inside of you and always happened. I say now, which is never an omitting problem.
And you were inside of him, but not as a little tiny body.
That's right. No.
But as life essence, which we all are.
Essence. Mm-hmm. Let me read this to you. After that, he appeared in another form unto two of them as they walked and went into the country.
So he was a shapeshifter.
He was a shapeshifter. That's right. It says he appeared in another form. Now listen to this. If he appeared then as another form and was walking in oneness with those on the Emmaus Road, and watch this. Right now, as we speak and look at all the names on this list, on this broadcast, he has changed into your form. And that's the reason why the mind is constantly asking and seeking to see him, because it can't see him like your consciousness being him. Your mind can't see him.
He's taking on your form.
He is your form. He formed himself into us so that the security, all right, here it is, so that the insecurities would not amount to anything as losing contact with God.
Yes.
This is something of a revelation that I'm seeing right now as I speak to you. And it is a fact that he took on all of our forms over the whole universe so that he could establish a definite, direct moving or conversation in everything that he is. Now listen, he changes the form as each one of us. Mr. Kessler, he's your form in the hospital. Pat Hayes, he's your form on this broadcast. Alicia, he's your form. Sandra, he's your form. James Kessler and all the rest of you, Buzz, he is your form.
He's taking on your form.
Here's the gift. I saw.
He's wearing you.
Yeah, you are his garment.
Yes.
You are the linen material garment on Jesus' body, as well as being his body. My God, how close can you be?
Good. That's good. So there is a real how would I want to say it? There is an extreme dissatisfaction here in our being of what is right now. We don't like what is right now. We want it to be different. We want things to be different. So we don't like what is right now. And so it keeps us looking for something more. And the more we look for something more, we miss the miracle that's right here, right
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
And if we could ever accept here, right now, what is happening right now or not happening right now, what is taking place right now, and live in this moment and be okay with it,
Mhm.
we would
Mhm.
realize that what is living in this moment is God.
Eternal essence is all that we are.
Yes.
It is time for us to relax and walk this thing in true identity. But if
Yes.
you can't
Yes.
relax, he's your relaxation. If you can't walk, he's your walkings. If you can't move, he's moving.
Mhm. Mhm.
Millions,
And we're just reminders.
uh-huh,
Yes.
millions of people right now is he appearing to in the awakening experience of being them.
And then there's millions of people that he is not appearing to.
That's right.
He's just being
That's
them.
right. God is also the self awareness of himself as us.
I like what Jill said. She said joy is integrated in our being. Joy
Integrated.
is your being.
Integrated beingness. I like that.
Yes,
I like that.
you
I
are
like that.
that integrated being,
Mm-hmm.
and that integrated being is joy.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have the realization that there is absolutely no way God could be absent except through my own imagination.
Mm-hmm.
We have that realization. There is a transmutation that starts to take place, where we begin to realize there's really not a battle. There's no battle. There's and the revelation that hell is just my own self-inflicted thought patterns.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what hell is. My self-inflicted thought
Wow,
patterns.
that's something. Hmm. You know the reason why a lot of people don't hear the eternal self, God identity speaking in them,
Mhm.
because I tell you why. We are God's conversation to himself back to us. God's conversation to himself is stillness.
Yeah,
God does
that's
not
his
make,
language.
that's right.
That is God. And I don't want to say his, because then the
It is,
mind
it is,
conjures an old
mm-hmm,
man
mm-hmm,
or a
mm-hmm,
big man in the
mm-hmm.
sky. But that's its language,
That's right. That's right.
and it's really our language.
Between us and God, there must be an opposite to show and reveal the contrast, because as the opposite, we are observing left and right being above all that walks in the
Yes,
middle
yes,
path.
yes, yes.
That at the same time, I want you guys to hear this, because the church for years has made it look like, and I'm not fussing at them or nothing like that, just making a point. For years, they have all made it seem like God only attends and reveals himself to a certain class of people. And that class of people, the church called, is the born againers or the believers. Do you know God is manifesting himself without any permission from any type of uh, club, any type of church, any type
Mhm.
of belief or religion?
It was
I
not.
saw
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
My consciousness popped and expanded.
yeah, and it was not Jesus' intent to build a religion.
No, no,
He
it
did
wasn't.
he
It
did
wasn't.
not come to build a religion. He came simply to tell us and to show us who we are as
Mm-hmm.
an example. He was the example of who we are. And so it's difficult for some of us to even try to put ourselves in that class. So this is the thing. The Don't try to put the me in that God class. That the me will never fit in the God class.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the me has to fall away. The separation collapsing is the me falling away. Not so much and that's there's a fear in that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fear of the me falling away because it sounds like death. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds like that. I want to respond to what Buzz put up.
Okay,
He
go ahead.
says, all of my struggles have helped me realize that I'm okay.
Yeah,
We are all okay.
yeah,
It's okay to struggle sometimes and to be not
yeah.
what others think we should be.
Mhm.
And the truth is, Buzz, the ability to go through those things and have the struggles is God's power. That's
That's right.
God's power. You wouldn't even be having a struggle if you weren't mastering the things in your life. So
Buzz,
it's good.
as the essence that you are, we are, and all of us is, cannot go and cannot come and cannot be lost and cannot be found.
Yes.
What gives off the losing and the finding aspect of it is the ego or the mind or the conditioned selves.
Yes.
We have broke through this. We break through this in these seeings and knowings in the area of spirit. Now we've been taught, conditioned to believe that God is not with us unless we have a lot of emotional excitement and noise.
Or I'm not moved by anything that happens. I'm just walking around with I'm never worried about anything. I'm never disturbed by anything. All of that's a fallacy.
Okay. Ego is what wants to get more, see more.
Because it's not satisfied with what's happening now.
It is the part of us that's constantly wanting something.
And it keeps you on a search.
Yeah.
It keeps you on a quest. It keeps you as the seeker. And so you can allow the seeker to fall away, and then the struggle to get more falls away with it.
Eat my flesh and drink my blood, Jesus said. If you have done this in expanded consciousness and awareness, that means he has assimilated in your consciousness everything that he and the Father is as one. Assimilation is the digestive system. Now listen, our digestive system is not waiting for us to say work. It's not waiting for us to say dissolve this food. Essence, let me show you what essence is. Essence is that part of us that we've always been and will always be. Essence is our beingness, is the beingness of us. I'm using all these kind of phraseologies because I've learned I found out how to talk a certain way in order to keep, by wisdom, insight, the workings of the awareness in it. Now you can learn how to talk in the midst of suffering, and it'll make you make suffering look like it's just water running off a duck's back.
So what we're really talking about is the naturalness of being the presence of God, just the naturalness of that.
That's right.
Your ability, say for instance, you got a bad foot and you got to walk and it hurts to walk. Do you realize to get up and walk on that foot is God? Do you realize if you sit down and rub that foot, it's God? Do you realize if you sit down and put that foot in some water, it's God? Everything, life essence is the doer. Life essence is what's doing. You're not really doing. Have you realized that half the time you don't realize what you're going to do next? You don't really know what you're going to do next.
That's right.
Because it's not you doing it.
That's right.
But we have this misconception and a belief that we are our minds, and so we think we can create. So let me say this too. This is something that I'm coming into that is really kind of, I don't know if I want to say it. Let me see if I want to say it. We realize that this is an illusion. When I say this is an illusion we live in, I don't mean that it isn't real. I mean that it isn't what it appears to be. And so what we've done, we've taken this dream world that we live in, and the majority of teachers, people who are working in the self-improvement field are teaching people to use their minds to create a better dream, which is fine. That's great. But you're still asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And once you go through trying to create a better dream,
Mm-hmm.
you still don't really find out who and what you are.
But I'm going to have to step out for a minute. I'll be right back.
So, holy moly. Holy moly. So, we're not talking about creating a better dream. We're talking about awaking out of the dream. There's a scripture that says, "Awake thou that sleepest, and Christ shall give thee light." So when we realize that there is no possible way that God could be absent, then what comes with that is a realization that where the mind can no longer lie to you. That's the thing. The mind can't lie to you anymore. And so you end up with a lot of the things you've been struggling to have happen automatically just start unfolding and taking place. Let me read what Buzz says. I like what Buzz says. He says, I like what Rupert Spira said about the separate cell is that which spends the rest of its life looking for itself. It is both comedic and tragic. We already are what we are searching for. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. You are what you're looking for. So it's the seeker that has to collapse. The seeking has to collapse. I thought about my mom this morning who had Alzheimer's. Some of you heard me talk about her. She, in the early stages of Alzheimer's, when she first got diagnosed, there was a lot of anger and anxiety there because she realized that her story was falling away. As it progressed, I remember there was one incident where mom started to drink real heavy. And I know she did it because she was disturbed by what was happening. And I can't remember exactly what was said to her, but she was upset about something. And someone said to her, God wouldn't like for you to be like this. And she said, I know God. I know God. And she screamed it, I know God. I know God. And so I watched her do that, and I realized what said that was that self that she believed she was. And as her story started to diminish, there was a point when her concept of God even fell away. If you said God to her, she said, what is that? If you said Holy Spirit to her, she said, what is that? If you said devil to her, she would say, what is that? There was no concept of God there, but it didn't change what already was. When all of those concepts fell away, it was amazing. She was my teacher. It was amazing because when all those concepts fell away, mom was so clear. Her presence was just absolutely clear. And I was amazed by it. I was amazed by it. There was no personal self there. There was no person there who knew God. There was no person there who had ever had an experience with God. There was no person there who went to church and was religious. There was no person there who had read scriptures. None of that even meant anything anymore. It was all gone. It was erased with her story as her story. But it didn't change who she was as pure life essence. And at the end, her eyes were so clear. It was like looking into the eyes of an infant. And I think about that often, how the holding on to the personal sense of self is where all of our struggles are coming from. And to dare to even lose your concept of God, now that's a biggie. To lose your concept of God, and most of us are afraid of that. We're afraid of that because we've held on to that as a foundation for ourselves, not realizing that that concept is blocking us from the actual being, the actual freedom of walking in the presence of God. And we were talking about this week as well, that there are so many different factions of religion, so many different factions of Christianity. Within Christianity, there's so many different factions. You go down the street, you'll see 3 or 4 churches. You go in each church, they all believe something different. They all worship different. They all think something different about God and about themselves. So even when you get into the realm of spirituality, the teachers, there are so many different teachers, and there's differences in all of that. So nothing really matters. Nothing of the personal concept really matters. So as I saw her lose the concept of God, it really impacted me. And I realized we don't have to remember God to be God. You don't have to remember it. And there was nothing, this is the other thing, there was nothing left there when that story was erased. There was nothing left there that would say, I know God or I am God. That the only thing that would say that is an egoic identity. Only an egoic identity would say, I know God or I am God. Talk back at me. Talk back at me. I know what I said was just a lot. So yes, Keely, our minds stand in the way. Our minds always stand in the way. Our mind predicts, and it always it judges and it predicts, because that's its job. If that's what it's here to do. And Keely asks, is the story our personalities? Our personalities are built by the story. It's a construction of the story. If there were no story, there would be no person. So when I say, and you remember the scripture that says God is not a respecter of persons? God is not a respecter of persons. God only respects your life essence. He isn't really concerned about all of that story stuff, but he does care enough to make sure you're safe. So this is the thing. We have put our me and our I and our we in front of everything. You okay?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm okay. Everything good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Buzz, I like what you said there, man. That Rupert said. Fulfillment is called God's satisfaction.
Yeah.
The personality in the story has not and will not and cannot interfere with our true self. This is what has caused us to be able to get past any hurdle, any block, any impasse. You see, God can't get into something and get out of something because we don't sense him or sense the presence. When we walked this world, this path, we had already decided that there would be no interference with the eternal self. If it does, and if it did, that would be a weak area of the structure. So God and the finite, infinite knowings set this thing in motion and deliberately weaved himself and us together
Yeah.
like the threads
Yeah.
in his robe.
Yeah.
When we saw the
Yeah.
thread in his robe, it was overlapped in loops.
Yeah. It was woven.
Yeah, woven.
Virginia says, God is, and I cease to speak.
There you go. There you go. Now you're going to start something now. Crank it up. Crank it up.
Let me see what Sandra's saying here. She says, my grandmother died at the age of 102,
Wow.
but she didn't have Alzheimer's, but her negativity of people and gossip had changed. She was so positive, no criticisms of anybody anymore. She was different. I was amazed. Yes, yes. So she lived long enough to realize the story didn't matter. She lived long enough to realize that. And the other day I just thinking to myself, and I said out loud, I don't want to see anything negative about people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see errors and flaws in people. I no longer want to see that. There was a time when I enjoyed seeing it because it made the little me feel like it was better than.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've come to the place I abhor it. I do not want to see anything negative in anybody else. And so now I'm practicing not allowing my monkey mind to talk through my mouth about people. I am working on that very diligently because it is what is making all of these, has all these opinions of other people and what's happening. So that's my practice of late. I do not want to see any flaws in people. I do not want to focus on their errors, on their mistakes. I don't want to focus on the things that my egoic mind doesn't like. I want to let that just go because I realize it is not life essence thinking about them that way. It is not life essence looking at them that way. It is not life essence that's talking about them that way. So that's my practice.
Okay. As we arrive or come to the place of destination, even if it is in the physical realm or the non-physical realm,
Yes.
you will always appear as the door. And by you knowing that Christ is the door to all things, you will appear to yourself as the door, as well as to others as the door.
Yeah, we are.
Wow.
We're gates and portals for people to come into their knowing.
Take a deep breath and rest in this. When somebody is in a restaurant talking to God and blessing their food, they are talking to their essence in there and the essence in us and the essence in everybody in the restaurant. I sometimes I go and I deliberately look around to see if I can spot how many people it is in the place that are bowing their heads and blessing their food. I like to experiment with just this thing like that, just so real. So I just sit there and I look at them, and I know now, I know without a doubt, Lord have mercy. I know that they are talking to God, they're asking God, and I say, I think I'll collapse the distance between their praying and blessing and me sitting there listening. I collapse it. And when I do, I can hear the inner witness. I can hear
God hearing through you.
The ear.
God hearing through your ear.
I can hear God's ear hearing and listening through his ear. This
God,
thing is something.
God doing the blessing and
Lord.
God hearing the blessing.
Yes, Lord.
All right, Sean says this. Hey, Sean, I'm glad you said this. She said, when we don't have a concept of God, we can let life unfold instead of thinking it should be a certain way because of our religious beliefs and conditions. That's wonderful. I love that. And then Oliver says this, the pure in heart, no judgment, shall see God as themselves. Yes, yes, yes. Wow. And I, at first I was trying to see them as myself. I was trying to see them as myself, but now I realize that when I refuse to focus on their errors, that is seeing them as myself.
We have come to the end of leaving God and coming back to Him.
Yes.
We have come to the end of all distances from God. We are now moving from the being essence of God, whether aware or not. We are absolutely
That's good.
locked in.
That's good. That's good. We've come to the end of
Come to
God
the end.
coming
Come to the end.
and God leaving.
That's the only end that we can come to. And even that is no work. We have actually, I'm gonna tell you something.
Yes.
You guys, this thing is so potent.
It's very potent.
Ooh.
It's very potent. And again, this is the naturalness of presence. This is not you walking around feeling really, really spiritual. That walking around feeling spiritual is not being awakened. That is an ego that wants to experience an altered state so that it can feel different and better than other people, not like other people. It's a whole gamut of conceptual ideas about a spiritualized self.
Here's another translation of what we're talking about. The going in and out of identities is finally eliminated.
What does it mean to go in and out of an identity?
It's I am going through something with an air attitude that God is standing on the outside waiting for me to get over this situation so He can be seen doing something for me or to me or for the situation. Now I was in the what is that store we went to yesterday?
It was Friday.
What
actually,
was
Hobby Lobby.
Hobby.
Oh, I love Hobby Lobby. Oh, I can stay there all day.
Okay, here's what happened. We drove all the way from here where we live, all the way out there
to Winston.
It's a good little ways on the new expressway, 40 and Interstate 40. And when we got there, I am aware that I am being placed by a spontaneous identity of Christ. When I got there, I was looking for some material, and there was 3 ladies, maybe 4, but 2 of them were standing at the table where you measure your cloth and material. And I looked around, and these 2 ladies were standing there.
On the other side.
He was on the other side. I found out that we went there for that experience. I stood there and was talking to the lady about the material. And I looked around to my left, and there was an angel standing behind this lady. I could see him, both of them talking. And so I was not under pressure or obligation to tell her this. I just wanted to talk to her and tell her something good. I said, ma'am, your angel is standing right there beside you. I said, I've been seeing this off and on half of the day. And I said, your angel is doing something to help you with your physical problem that you've been dealing with, which you didn't look like you did. But then the other lady was standing there, and I mentioned the same to her, and they were very polite, and they said, thank you, I needed this. So as I got the call from started out the door at the cash register, I was trying to decide on which one to go to, but I picked one that was on my left again.
By the way, it was my idea to go to Hobby Lobby because I found out that they have cloth, and that's what he's been wanting is to find cloth.
And I didn't know they had it, but what got me there was essence. 3 ladies were standing there, and they were talking to one girl about a house situation of a tenant that needed to be dealt with, and she didn't know how to deal with it. And I was standing at the cash register just checking out, and my ears tuned in to their conversation on an effortless basis. And I said to the cashier, I said to this lady, I said, can you get her attention right quick? She turned and come over. I said, I don't mean to be nosy, but I said, I heard you say something about a house situation. I said, the Lord is going to show you how to deal with this tenant, and he's going to fix this thing for you. And I said, do not allow them to antagonize you into anger. She said, thank you so much.
Now, mind you, I have been wanting to go to Hobby Lobby for a while, and I started to go without him because I know I like to just mess around in the store for a while. But when I found out that they had cloth, then I realized, okay, he can go with me. All right. My intent was to go early Friday morning, but whatever we were doing around here in the house, we never got out of the house. And it was around 12 when I thought about we could go. But then I said, no, it's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be a lot of traffic. Lunchtime, it's going to be bad. So we waited till around 1, maybe 1:30. And we took off and went to Hobby Lobby. When we got there, had we not waited, you would have missed those ladies. So everything was, it's like it's all orchestrated without you having to think about it and premeditate it. It's all orchestrated for you to run into them at that particular time. Had we gone earlier, you wouldn't have seen those ladies.
That's right.
So everything is it's in order. Everything is already in order. Vincent Kelly is here. Hey, Vincent, I'm glad you're here. I want to read what he says. He said, really, it's you standing on the outside waiting for your body to realize it's a part of the story, a witness to the story. Therefore, all you need is already there, not somewhere else. The only thing that's somewhere else is your brain, the mind, the earth you've chosen to dwell in for a moment, a blink of an eye, which we interpret as living. Life. I love this. I love you too, man. I love you.
This is great.
I love you. That's very well said, Vincent. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So there's another lady standing there, and I asked the question, but when I got the answer was inside of me before she said it. He said, tell her about the 2 children. And I asked her, I said, ma'am, I said, do you have children? I said, how many you have? She said, 2. Now, you know what this panic has done for us? It's a damn panic, but it's a good old damn panic if you look at it the right way. It's not good for somebody that had a family member that passed because of the virus. And it's no way you're going to go up to them and tell them what I'm getting ready to say to you to make them understand the way you see things. But here's the punchline. If they have lost a loved one because of it, you have absolutely 1,000,000,000% been involved in it by your infinite self. Your good identity of the Christ self cannot opt himself out because you're not geographically located with somebody.
Yes.
It is called you coming into awareness of the common sense of God, translating it into a supernatural understanding by wisdom that you are a co-participator with every family now that's in remorse. You are a deliberate co-participator with everyone that's in the hospital and surgery that's going on. I like this. I like this. I like this. It's good. I like this because I'm finding out that the empathic part of us as the infinite self is in everything that everybody is going through and has no problem. And there's no limit to no limit of how much we can take and give out. It is a constant replenishing source of a constant abundance of God identity that is with everybody in the universe. Don't care what they're going through. I can feel my awareness.
Now, you know our time is winding up.
Oh, yeah.
And you just getting all, you getting wound up good.
Yes.
And Oliver says, good old damn panic.
Oh, bam, good old bam, penny.
Listen, I put up here how to give. Our time is winding up. And you can do that by texting CLC Greensboro to 73256 or to paypal.me/cornerstone35. If you're old school, do P.O. Box 36259, Greensboro, North Carolina 27416. And if you want to bless Pastor and I, go to Cash App. That's $A Sawyer C. And I'm going to put up here what Leslie said. This pandemic is a blessing. It caused this ministry of truth to come into our homes around the country. Praise God. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. I love you so much. And thank you for your gift. She's been sweet, so sweet to us. She's been so giving, so generous to us. And look, I learned something yesterday. I want to tell you about this. Lisa Natola yesterday taught us about money and how to position ourselves in our pure presence to receive. She said, money won't fall out of the sky. Ideas are God's currency. So you give out of an abundance mindset and don't block the manifestation. Open the gates to receive by just saying thank you. When she said that, I said, oh, that is so good. So I printed it out and put it on my desktop. It's beautiful. So now as you prepare to give, I want you to make this declaration with me. I am happy and grateful that multiple streams of income are now coming to me. And you can type this in if you want to. I am happy and grateful that multiple streams of income is now coming to me. I'm going to say it one more time. I am happy and grateful that multiple streams of income is now coming to me. And
I'm believing and seeing each one out there that's listening to us now be so blessed with releasing $1,000 in every area that is needed for anyone. Yes. And there's an unlimited resource of a bank that is filling itself up with the money.
Yes.
Just do this. And thank you, each of you, for sending the help that we need financially to keep things going. And may that reward return unto you a millionfold.
Yes. Now, Oliver says ideas emerge from our beingness. That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. As we get into the law of allowing what is to be, then it automatically starts to come, and you don't have to really worry about it. Pearl says, I am happy and grateful that multiple streams of income are coming to me now. Yes. And you're typing that in. Yes, ma'am. And when you give, you are more like God then than any other time.
We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday at 7.
Yes, we do. And I think that Pastor Norman and I don't know, we're going to be on Thursday, but we may have to change the time to 12:30. But I will post it on Facebook and make sure you guys know. Thank you so much for tuning in to us today.
Thank you so much.
We love you. We love you. We love you. And we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday night. You guys stay safe and have a great Sunday evening.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.